Hi, so it's Thursday, the 9th of April. We're coming up to a month in quarantine now, which is hard to believe, really. I certainly didn't believe at the beginning of this that I could bear to be inside for a month and not go outside. That would have just seemed the most overwhelming thought possible. I was freaking out at the concept of 2 weeks. And now it's like tomorrow it would be a month, 4 weeks. And I'm kind of okay with that. And I'm okay with the fact that we have at least another 2 weeks with the quarantine being exactly the same as it is now, which basically means that you're not allowed to go out unless it's um, urgent, like to get food. And you're encouraged not to go out more than once a week or once every 2 weeks. Which is kind of hard if you don't have a car. I don't quite get how people are managing to do that if they're on foot. But there are definitely lots of people just going out once a week or once every 2 weeks. And maybe they're ordering online as well to get supplies in, which is something we've chosen not to do because my partner said he actually feels safer going into the shop himself and picking up the stuff himself because he knows that he's taking precautions and so he feels that the produce that he's bringing back will be safer that way, and that's a personal choice. And yeah, I guess I kind of have mixed feelings about that, but I'm not the one going out, so I have to trust him on that is the best thing to do. So life is pretty static apart from the excitement of the shopping trip, and there's no toing and froing. There's not really much change going on to our environment as such. The routine here is pretty much the same. Every night we do the clapping out of the window, and then we get the music played back to us by the police, and that pretty much stays the same. At the weekends, it varies slightly. On Saturdays, they tend to have bingo and the lottery being done outside, close by, for quite a significant part of the day, as I guess their attempt to entertain people, although it is actually quite disturbing, especially if you don't understand any of it. Um, yeah, and I mean, that's pretty much it. And so we go about our business inside, and we do our routine as best we can, and we try and stick to having a routine and to give us structure so that the days don't just all blend into one and feel endless. But in a way, they still do. Not in a horrible way, but they do. I mean, it doesn't feel like a month. I have I have no way of telling time right now, I guess. Before, my days were punctuated by going to different places and speaking to different people and doing different things. And now my days are pretty much identical with only minor shifts. Like my day might vary with the exercise I choose to do in the morning, or with the kind of focus of my cleaning, or with the activity that I choose to do during the day. Like at the moment, I'm making a mask for my partner, and it's got a filter pocket inside as well, which I'm rather proud about. Um, and so this is like day 3 of the mask making, and I've been doing like a couple of hours each day, and it's slow because I don't have a machine, so I'm hand stitching it, and I'm because I want it to last, and it has to be washed like every time it's used on a high heat. I'm going around and I'm like tripling up the seams, um, so that hopefully it will last longer, because and it's really, the material frays a lot, and I don't have anything to put around that here. So I'm kind of doing the best that I can with the materials that I have. I have swimming costume straps that I'm hoping to use for the straps. Fingers crossed that'll work. And I'm hoping some beading wire. Someone did a tutorial on masks on YouTube that I saw. I've been watching several, like quite a few actually, to try and figure out the best way to make a mask, and someone had used beading wire and they'd like plaited it together to make it thick enough, and that was working for them. And so I'm going to try that and see if it works for the nose piece. Otherwise, I have like a hair clip that might work as well, because I think it's important to have that bit. So yeah, that's been the differentiation in my day. The last 3 days has been sewing that as opposed to doing the embroidery that I was doing before. And it's strange because the fabric that I'm using for the bag, for the mask was a bag. It was a laundry bag, and it came from a hotel in Barcelona, a really, really beautiful, gorgeous hotel that my partner took me to for my birthday 3 years ago as a surprise. And when I took the bag as a souvenir, I just thought it was kind of like a drawstring bag, and I thought, oh, that's quite nice. It would be quite useful for maybe keeping my sewing things in or something. And then I didn't end up using it, and it's been stuck in the cupboard. And when I brought it out and I started making the mask, and I put 2 and 2 together, and I realized where this bag had come from, it was almost haunting to think, gosh, you know, on that special birthday when I kept that bag and I thought, oh, I love this bag, I'm going to use it for something special. When I took that bag, you know, the fact that it would end up being a mask and being used for protection to keep my partner safe when he goes out, would, like, that never occurred to me. Of course it would never have occurred to me, and if someone had told me that, I would have like told them they were stupid and that's ridiculous. Or maybe, but then if someone had told me that, I think I would have planned way in advance and had proper military grade masks and all of that stuff ready. So it's a shame that didn't happen. But yeah, it's kind of spooky, really, that this bag is being made into this mask. And how when we buy things, we don't necessarily realize at the time what their true purpose is going to be. It's like, after I've made this mask, I'm going to cut up a pajama top to make another one, either for him or for me. I think it's important to have at least 2 in the household. And you know, when I was buying that at the beginning of the winter, I had no idea that I'd be sacrificing it now to make a mask out of. And I'm always a little reluctant to sacrifice it to make a mask out of, which is why I'm using the bag first. Because I didn't realize until I'd already hacked it up, and then I realized, oh, where it came from. So I wasn't even aware of it to start off with. So yeah, it's kind of strange. That was a strange one. But yeah, so that's been punctuating my day slightly differently the last 3 days, as has other things. Really are only kind of like, you know, what I'm listening to or watching while I work during the day as kind of like part of my self-development and healing and education. And then at night, what we eat and what we watch. And yeah, these things are the only things that provide any kind of variety, really, which is kind of okay right now. I'm okay with that. I'm not bored at all. I'm quite happily entertained. I feel like I'm going about my business really as normal. Things, there are like slight shifts between now and before, but for the most part, it's like, no, I always listened to interesting things during the day to educate myself. And I was always sewing, so that main structure is the same. The exercise part is different because I used to go out to do my exercise, and I used to really like that. That was my break point in the day, the thing that changed one day from the next. And it's hard not having that. It's hard not having that interaction with the people at the spa where I go to, or just, walking by the beach with my partner and my dog and having a long conversation and watching my little dog waddling along the floor. I miss that. I miss that a lot, especially because my dog is really suffering from not going outside. She had health problems anyway, and she's on the medication that she's on causes muscle wastage, which is one of the side effects of it, and osteoporosis as well. And so not being able to go out for a walk has really significantly affected her strength. She doesn't like to walk around inside our apartment because the floor is, to her, the floor is slippy. It never used to be, but now she sees it as slippy. And so she's kind of scared to go from place to place. And so she's not really walking around much, and she's needing to be carried. And I can see the difference in her strength and her posture. And that's kind of worrying, because I don't know after this is finished, I don't know if she'll be okay going out walking again, if we'll be able to get her strength back, or if that's it and she's going to have to be carried around forever now. And it's hard, because at the beginning we were encouraging her to walk around the flat for treats, and now she's not really into doing that. Even the lure of food isn't working with her, and so yeah, I'm having to just kind of sit back and accept and allow her to do her thing and to be the way she wants, and not force her or push her too much, even though I'm desperately frustrated about the situation. But it is what it is, and I think there's a lot that we have all of us are having to accept at the moment, and just take on the chin and pivot around, and we're doing the best that we can, and I think for the most part that's good enough. Another thing that came up for me this week, and I think I kind of asked for it in a way. This happens a lot, where something reaches a point in my life, and I'm like, I'm happy with that, I'm content, and I say it out loud instead of just keeping it inside my head. And then suddenly it changes the next day, and shifts for the worse into the negative, and I almost feel like by voicing it out loud, I'm cursing myself, or I'm inviting the universe to push me, to test me. And so I've been tested several times during this quarantine period. The first was in the first week, where I was doing exercise around the apartment, and I was being a little bit too ambitious, I think, especially because I was wearing slippers, and there was absolutely no support in my slippers at all. And I really injured both of my feet, and I'm still suffering from that injury. Like, I still can't walk. It's still swollen, and it's still the bruising is coming out now more than at the beginning. You couldn't really see anything, and then it all started swelling up, and now it's all started bruising in the last couple of days, and it tries to get better, and then it seems to get worse again. And I feel like that was me being tested, and I failed in that respect, because I voiced out loud, it's okay, I don't need to go outside, look, I'm exercising at home. I was trying to encourage my partner to join in and do some exercise as well. And then I got this injury, and I didn't feel it happening when it was happening. It just, I had done my exercise, and then I was resting, and then when I tried to get up, I couldn't. And so I've been like walking around like a granny ever since then, which is not good, because then it's straining all other sorts of parts of my body and everything. Ideally it would be x-rayed, and I'd be in physio, but that's not possible, so I'm just trying to like nurse and mother it as best as I can. But that's been a test, and I've been okay with it. It hasn't gotten me down at all, even though the pain has been quite intense. But it's frustrating because it's like not only am I confined now to this small box of my apartment, but I can't really even exercise in the way that I would like to. You know, I can only do stretches and, you know, mat exercises, and even that's limited because of the strain on my ankles and Achilles and stuff. But I'm doing the best that I can, and I'm okay with that. I'm positive about that. But it was definitely a kind of like a test from the universe there, I think, that I failed. And also maybe it was a way of keeping me inside, because I think I would have been tempted to go out on a shopping run to get stuff, just to get out and deal with the cabin fever. And I haven't been able to do that because I haven't been able to walk. Like, I literally can't. I couldn't walk down the stairs to get out of our apartment block, let alone across the street. So yeah, but that's been okay. I've taken that lesson and I've gone with it, and I'm hoping that with patience and with love, my feet will recover and I'll be able to walk soon. I really hope soon. I hope within the next 2 weeks, so that if the quarantine does get relaxed, I can go for a walk. And then yeah, when I with a couple of days ago when I was saying, oh, I'm quite enjoying quarantine right now, and I'm not in a rush to get back out to the world again, although I'd like to feel that the world was safe. But I was kind of like observing that maybe I wouldn't change things like back to the way that they were before. Maybe I would keep a lot of the structure that's been put in place over this last month in, because it's more peaceful, more relaxing, more restorative, and I think that's what I need in my life right now. And then it all kind of flipped on its head, and I span out, and I had a crazy 24 hours at least of just spiraling into fear and panic and anguish, and feeling really, really depressed, and really just terrified, and not wanting to be a part of it, this world, if this is what this world now is. Just, I think it was the deep trauma of catching up on not just one day's worth of news, but I've been catching up on 12 years worth of news, really, to a large extent over this period, because I haven't watched the news at all. Like, not at all. I haven't read anything, I haven't touched on anything in the last 12 years. And now suddenly I'm feeling like I have to, because it would be irresponsible not to. My partner has decided that he doesn't really want to know so much what's going on, so he's not, you know, he's checking in maybe once every couple of days on, like, you know, the main news in like the local newspaper or a British newspaper or something. So he's got that larger overview of what's going on, but he doesn't really know what's going on the ground. And I feel like one of us needs to know that, because when the quarantine started, we weren't aware of what was going on the ground, and so it was a real shock. And so I'm the one that's on like the Facebook groups and following what's going on the ground, and yeah, it's been really traumatic, and it's been a heavy load that I've carried. And I took a week off last week, and I felt so much better for it. But then I started to worry that I'd missed out on all of this stuff. And I was seeing the little snippets coming through on my Instagram, because my Instagram's feed is quite safe in terms of news, and I don't follow that many people. But I got a sense that stuff was changing out there, and I felt like I needed to be aware of it. And so when I got sent a video clip from a relative, and it took me into Facebook to watch the video clip, and this was late at night, right before I went to bed, which is the worst time. I had watched the clip, and then I went down the feed and I started to look at the other stuff, just to find out what was going on locally, and you know, what would be important for me to know. And a lot had been happening, like a lot, in the last like couple of days, and it was all like really big, scary stuff that I wasn't really up up to speed with. And so then it got me panicking about other things, not just the virus, but like the other things that might be going on in the world at the same time, whether they're like purposely timed or not. And I just freaked out. And so I didn't sleep at all well. And then the next morning, I decided to do some more research. So I was watching some videos on what was going on, and listening to some different opinions of it. And I thought that would help, and it didn't. It made it worse. And so, yeah, I ended up in a real state, and I was really upset. And my partner couldn't help me at all, because he was like, I don't want to be anxious right now. I'm feeling really calm. Just, calm down, be peaceful, because you're stressing your immune system out when you're upset. And I was like, yeah, I know, but that's really not helpful to me right now. And I need to get this out. I need to cry about this, and I need to be comforted and held, just so that I can purge it, reground, recenter, and then move forwards. And I found myself having to do that on my own for myself, because he couldn't take it, he couldn't carry it, and I understood that it was unfair of me to put that on him, to share my fear with him. And I think that's something that a lot of people have been experiencing throughout this situation, and I found for myself as well, is that we can't share with our friends and our nearest and dearests in the same way that we could before, in terms of how we are responding to this situation, and our grief around it, and our fear around it, and our questions, because everybody is going through their own trauma right now. Everybody is going through their own grief and trying to deal with how they're feeling, and bouncing around all over the place. And I was talking to my therapist about it yesterday, and I said I feel a bit bipolar in terms of my emotions. It's like one minute I'm like calm and peaceful and quite happy and content, oblivious to what's going on outside the window. I'm just in my little cocoon. And then the next minute I kind of dip my toe into the news or whatever, and boom, I am in deepest, darkest depression, and I'm ready to like jump out the window or take a pill and kill myself. I really, really felt that desperate. And my emotions, like, they shift that drastically. There's no like kind of middle ground at the moment. It's like, I'm not a little bit depressed, I'm like manic, and then I come out of it, and then I'm totally fine again, and I don't feel depressed, and I feel peaceful and calm like today. And that's strange, and that's different and unusual. That's not my normal state at all. And it's difficult having to navigate that for the most part on your own. Even with my therapist, I feel like I can't share how I'm feeling properly. I can't talk to her honestly about my fears around the virus and everything, because I don't want to put that on her. I don't want her to carry that. She's on her own, in her house, and it would be unfair of me to burden her in that respect. So there's only so much I can share, and I have been sharing with her, but not the whole story. I have to kind of work out where she is first, what she knows, what she's aware of, and what she feels about the whole situation, before I can then go there. And if I know that we've got shared feelings, then that's okay. But if it's something new, I don't want to tell her something she doesn't know and then burden her with that information. And that's even more with my friends and relatives. It's like I can't really speak to them about the deep gritty stuff, because everybody is struggling, and even though we're more united than we were before, in terms of reaching out and keeping in contact with each other and offering each other kind of that kind of connection and support, I don't think, and this is my personal experience only, so maybe other people have got completely different situations and they are able to have these conversations and share about this stuff. But I just wanted to talk about how it is for me, in case it's the same for you too. That that I'm having to mother myself more than usual in that respect. Like I can't just like, you know, phone my friend or go out for a coffee with one of my, you know, friends and go, this is what's going on for me right now, and kind of like, you know, offload and then get, you know, comfort and empathy back and feel better, and then do the same in response for them. That's not there right now. You know, we can't share it to that level, at least within my group of people. Um, people want to stay in denial. People want to bury their heads. People want to be cocooned within their little nest, and I totally understand that, because, you know, on the days when I'm feeling cocooned in my little nest, I don't really want someone's dark cloud entering into that space either. Um, but um, but it's different for me, because like I would take the dark cloud, just because that's what I do anyway. You know, working as a therapist with people, if that's okay, I can take that, and I can deal with that, and deal with that responsibly and safely. But I don't want to do that to other people, because I know that other people can't necessarily, and that's the sense that I've got. So I guess I just wanted to say that if you're going through something and you feel like you're on your own, that you have no one to talk to, I feel you and I understand. And if you want to reach out, I am here, and I would be happy to hold space for you while you offload, because I think there is great healing in that, and great catharsis and comfort in that, and that can really lift you from one space to the next, and set you back on your feet again. So I wish you well. I wish you all the best. I wish you a happy Easter weekend, if such a thing is possible without, like here in Mallorca, normally there are like religious processions in the streets, for the whole of the Easter week and leading up to it, and this is not happening this year. You know, the churches are all closed and there are no processions, and I think that's going to be really strange and really hard for people not being able to go to church. It's a deeply, deeply religious country, and you know, I have felt the absence of that myself. I don't necessarily go to church that often, but I really have felt like I wanted to, now, to, you know, go into that peaceful, sacred space and feel closer to God. And it's been tough having to just do my own prayer work at home, and not having that vessel. And you know, a church is an extremely strong vessel, and that space is so sacred and so peaceful and so potent and powerful, and I really feel for people not having that in their lives right now, especially people who have gone maybe once or twice a week or even every day. So it's going to be a strange Easter weekend for sure, without that connection with the outside world to kind of to give it roots. And yeah, and you know, we haven't really, usually we kind of decorate the house, the apartment, for Easter, and we haven't really done that this year because it hasn't been possible to go out and get things. And so yeah, I'm missing my little Easter altar space and my Easter table dressing, and you know, my apartment full of spring flowers. So that's quite tough. And I wonder if it will even feel like it exists, really. That will be interesting. It feels, I don't know really, it feels as a kind of commercial venture. It feels like that has no relevance or significance right now. That feels really indulgent and superficial, and petty. And so yeah, I've kind of got no desire for having loads of bunny rabbits and chicks and all of that stuff around like I usually do. But from a religious perspective, I think, yeah, I think that's tough. And it will be interesting to see how I and how other people find that sacred space in order to honor this auspicious time without help from others. And maybe that means going and listening to a service online perhaps, or putting some gospel music on, or watching a religious film. Yeah, that will be interesting. So anyway, have a good weekend. I hope that you managed to find Easter for yourself and your loved ones. I hope that you're okay. I hope that you're coping, and that you're muddling through as best you can. I hope that you're doing either as well as me or better than me. I really hope that you're doing better than me. And yeah, you know where I am if you would like to touch base and share. Okay,